The admission of the president is a clear manifestation of his incompetence in managing the affairs of the university. We just passed this law creating this university from a state college. And this was in 2019, the previous administration. And because of his incompetence, Mr. Chair, I'd like to state for the record that following the advice of the chairman of the Committee on Public Accounts, we will scrutinize every single contract that he has signed, every single appointment that he has made and signed must be scrutinized. I'm not saying this because I have something against this gentleman, but my point being is that if, I'm sure that my colleagues would agree with me, that if a president of a university within a province or within a district, ay siguro dapat yung competent. Siguro yung may kakayahan na hindi yung nambobola lang. So it's just a manner of expressing my disgust, Mr. Chair. And I hope you understand that more to this issue, there are other issues that we should also look at, including sexual abuses and corruption in the management and affairs of the state university. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time. In the presentation of the budget of the CHED, apparently there was a 7 billion peso utang sa mga SUCs. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, if I may respond. For SUCs, we have a deficiency for a pre-higher education in 2022 of an estimate amount of around 3 billion. 3 billion.
So
For
3 billion,
2022.
hindi
Opo.
siya 7 billion.
Hindi po. For, we are speaking only on behalf of SUCs po.
Okay. I heard the president earlier mention that you only implement projects based on your absorptive capacity. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think that's discussion about the admission of students, that we encourage our SUCs really to only admit students within our absorptive capacity.
So if that is the case, saan ang galing yung utang nyo? Ay, yung utang ng CHED sa inyo?
Actually, Mr. Chair, maybe if we go back po dun sa history, in 2022, the deficiency was apparent because the given allocation for FHA is lower than the actual enrollment that we had in our SUCs, because we build DBM based on actual enrollment. And there was also a note as a special provision in the General Appropriations Act that deficiency, if there will be deficiency, should be sourced out from the CHED fund. And in our calculation, it's around 3 billion in 2022. At baka po yung 7 million, I just would like to assume, baka ho isinama na yung 2023. Kasi baka ho, kung 2022 lang ang pinag-uusapan natin, it's around 3 billion, and we have increased enrollment in 2023, more or less, baka po that's maybe the source of 7 billion. But speaking for 2022 only, it's only 3 billion. So yun po, that's why we have that increased enrollment, because that time, if we may recall, it's still pandemic po noon. And many of our classes are online, and we can absorb almost all of them. And we have that. Plus, there was no prohibition for us to have that enrollment cap, because we were told even by law that any deficiency should be sourced out from the budget of the Commission on Higher Education, as special provision in our GALT. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I would surmise, Mr. Chair, that perhaps the total 7 billion utang by the CHED to all SUCs includes the 2023. If you're saying that the current outstanding payables is about 3-point-something billion, then the balance of which would probably come from the projected balance for including the year 2023. Is that a correct assumption, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, I'm only speaking of the pre-higher education. This does not include TES issue, only for FHE. And the 2023, I think, there is no special provision in GAA. In 2022, there is special provision that any deficiency in pre-hire education should be sourced out from the budget of GED. In 2023, that is our dilemma now. If we have deficiency, there is no specific provision where we should get it from. So, hindi ko po masagot yung 7 billion na figure, but I'm only speaking of the pre-hire education, which is different or apart from TES. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ronquillo. If I may, Mr. Chair, I'll continue with my interpellation.
Yes, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now, in the submission that this representation received, as far as the budget of the SUC is concerned, Caraga, to which Surigao del Norte belongs, has a total proposed budget of 17 billion. Is that correct?
May we ask somebody from Caraga?
The chairman of
President Gamboa or the president of Caraga, President Rolin? If you have data, please.
Yeah, I know
Please.
he's the president of Caraga. Is there a association of universities in the region?
Apo.
May I know who's the president?
The president of the region representing SUCs there is President Gamboa. And also we have president of Caraga State University. But for the entire Caraga region, I think we have here President Gamboa.
So the president of the Surigao State University is the president of the Caraga. Why am I not surprised, Mr. Chair? Anyway,
Regional chair po ng SUCs.
well, you know,
Caraga.
the issue that I'd like to raise is we haven't actually seen. Now, I'd like to be particular about the budget of the SNSU, the Surigao del Norte State University. And the budget seems to be too excessive, considering that there are reports that this representation received that there were a lot of corruptions committed in the conduct and implementation of several projects within the university. And that is the reason, Mr. Chair, that I'd like to ask the SNSU president to submit the budget, because I haven't seen the particulars of the budget of the SNSU. Is the president aware of the breakdown and particulars of the budget? I suppose you are.
Mr. Chair, President Gamboa, yeah, please, Mr. Chair, actually we send the budget proposal to the office of Congressman Barbers. I think I would like to see the date when it was sent and it was received.
You
It was,
submitted to my office?
yes, we sent it to the office of Surigao del Norte that last September 8 of 2023, Mr. Chair.
Well, I haven't received a copy of the proposed budget of the SNSU, Mr. Chairman, because, oh, thank you for giving me a copy now. Just
Actually, it was received, Mr. Chair, at 10:41 in the morning of September
as
8.
usual practice, you submit the budget to my office in the House of Representatives, not in my district office. And
Sorry,
you're clearly aware of that, Mr. Gamboa.
actually,
In fact, Mr. Chairman, because of the issues of the so-called shenanigans committed by the SNSU president, this representation is now compelled to investigate the reports that this office received, no, as far as the misuse and abuse of funds in the university. May I also know from the president if you have received a copy of the letter of Senator Cheese Escudero?
yes, Mr. Chair, we received that one, Mr.
Can
Chair.
you briefly state the tenor of the letter of the good senator?
The letter addresses us in respect to the presentation of Mr. Asora to represent the Senate as introduced as the Oversight Committee of the...
No, that is not the tenor of the letter. Can you read again? Do you have a copy of the letter with you? The tenor of the letter, if
I would like to
will...
read by the permission of the chair.
Yes, please proceed, President Gamboa.
In view of the report sent to the office that Mr. Ronnie Asora has been attending your board meeting and in being introduced by the Commissioner Joe Mark Lebry as my general representative to all issues under him, I reiterate and confirm the designation of Representative Robert Ace Barbers as my representative for the board of regular of SN issue remains valid and effective. My office has not sent any communication to CHED and to Commissioner Joe Mark Lebry, nor to the designating Mr. Asora indicated above. Mr. Asora is neither a member of my Senate staff nor authorized to attend and participate in my behalf in the board meetings. As of this writing, I have already relieved him of his designation as my representative in the BOR of ASCAT and SCSU. In this regard, you are hereby directed to explain within 5 days from receipt thereof as to why Asora, not Representative Barbers, had been invited and included in your board meeting as my supposed general representative on the mere say of Com Lebry, much less allowed to sign referenda or resolution without any prior designation from my office. That's the letter we received from...
May I know if the president understood very well the message?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair. And in fact, we said already the reply to the Senate office 5 days after, because has been instructed that it should be answered within 5 days.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. You see, the reason this representation brought up this issue is because I'm sure the other SUCs remain to be professionals because you do not engage in flimsy politicking. Unlike this president of ours, who has been engaging in politics. In fact, most of the time, he refused to follow the tradition of informing the representation which covers his university. And if there is one policy that I'd like to recommend, if possible, to the association of the SUCs, is to how to police and sanction university presidents like this. Nakakalungkot isipin na maraming naapektuhan sa mga shenanigans ng mga nasabing presidente, Mr. Chairman. And that will not go unnoticed because this representation will make sure that he will be given the time to explain further the issues raised against him, including the alleged abuses, not to mention, Mr. Chair, that there are personal and some sexual issues attached to this president. So I would not take much of the time of the SUCs because I know that this is a very important period for your university because we are all one in unison in extending, in fact, supporting the higher education and the SUCs. So, with that being said, Mr. Chairman, this representation, just like to state for the record, my disgust towards the president of this university for one, not submitting the proposed budget, maybe because, Mr. Chairman, he doesn't want us to scrutinize the budget, or maybe even not, siguro para matago yung mga alleged abuses that are being committed. But again, as I said earlier, you will be given your time to explain this to us at the proper and appropriate time, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you very much. Yes,
can I be given the
President
response
Gamboa,
why we were
please,
not?
you have the time to respond.
Actually, we go back years back when there was a change in the representation with regards to the Senate. Now, as per record on file on the university, there were no communication that the board secretary has received as to the representation on who is the legitimate representation to as an issue with regards to the office of Chess Escudero. That was the very reason why we were not able to report. Now, there was a time that we received lately a communication coming from office of Senator Chess Escudero, Mr. Chair, informing us that it is Senator Congressman Barbers is now the representative. That was then this August that we received. And outright, upon receiving such communication, we immediately informed the good congressman that we received a communication informing us that he is now the representative of Chess Escudero. So we immediately sent a communication addressed to the office of Congressman Barbers for the meeting of the August 30 board meeting. And in fact, we received a communication from that office that a certain Mervin will be the one to represent on his behalf. So we try to look into this matter because we look at it seriously for not informing the congressman. So I advise the board secretary to exercise, again, review all the communication if there is a communication that we miss. Now, actually, there was a communication that was sent, but it is on another email address. My apology to the good congressman with regards to this one, because it was not our intention, nor we do it deliberately, that we will not be informing the office of the Congressman Barbers on that sense. It was only a miscommunication between the office of SNSU as well as the office of the Chess Escudero, Solitary Chess Escudero. There was no proper communication. There is a miscommunication on that regards. That's why we were not able to receive appropriate communication, and to the fact that every board meeting we send an invitation to the office of Senator Chess Escudero on that regards, because during that time we do not know who is the representative of Chess Escudero, Senator Chess Escudero. It was only this August that we were informed that we received another communication that it is Congressman Barbers, that he is now the representative. But prior to that one, we were not able to receive any communication, Mr. Chair. And in fact, I would like to apologize to the...
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
just to cut short the president of DSU. Pabalik-balik lang kasi. Ang pagkaintindi ko, Mr. Chairman, sorry sir but I will cut you short because paulit-ulit lang yung explanation. Your explanation is may miscommunication between your office and the office of Senator Jesus Escudero. Yun yung sabi mo, di ba?
Yes.
So ang tanong ko lang, Mr. Chairman, in the absence of a proper communication from the office of Senator Jesus Escudero, what have you done?
We send communication
When have you sent a communication to check if indeed who will represent his office?
That's why we send a communication.
When did you send?
We actually, since we do not receive any
Yun na
communication,
nga ang tanong ko, Sabi mo, you sent. Ang tanong ko, when? Ngayon, ibalik mo naman na since you did not receive, ngayon lang kayo nakatanggap, kaya kayo sumagot. Ang tanong ko, in the absence of that communication coming from the office of Senator Jesus Escudero, what have you done to clarify it?
Actually, that is where we failed, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, okay, you failed. Now, it is already clear that you failed. You admitted that you failed to check to the office of the good senator with regard to his representation in the board. Tama?
Yes, because
Dali. Yes or no lang. Tama.
yes,
So you admit. You admit. Yes or no?
yes.
Oh, yes. So, Mr. Chairman, I think the issue about the representation from the office of Senator Jesus Escudero and all other issues that's mentioned by the good Congressman Barbers. Ako, Mr. Chairman, as Chairman of the Public Accounts, I am gladly volunteering if ever the good Congressman will file a resolution to investigate that state university. I am very much willing and gladly to accept the challenge to investigate such SU. Kasi basic, Mr. Chairman, tingnan mo ha. Basic lang. Walang communication from the office of a senator. They never even give an attention to check who will represent the office of the senator. Mr. Chairman, kung hindi kayo sinulatan ng opisina ni Senator Chase, wala. Di ba? Now, yun yung, Mr. Chairman, that's why, Mr. Chairman, again, please submit all the documents, Mr. Chairman, to the committee. Please submit all the documents, the exchanges, communication between your office, and when was the last time you have sent a letter to the office of Congressman Senator Jesus Escudero? And when was the last time before this August 8th letter was the meeting of the Board of Regents? Please submit it before the budget in the plenary debate because, Mr. Chairman, pasensya na po tayo. Pag hindi mo na-submit, may problema yung state university mo. At titindig ako dyan, as the senior minority member of the House, titindigan ko yan, I will ask you all the questions and pasalamat ka kung hindi ko 1 peso budget. You should submit it before the plenary and the plenary will start tomorrow. Oh, when can I get all the pertinent documents?
Mr. Chair.
Please submit the required documents, the series of communication so that
Yes,
everything will be clear.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will try to dig up all the communication as instructed because I have instructions on the board secretary to develop to work on this one ever since. I give instruction to him to communicate with the Senate as to who is the representative. But I would like to check on that one if my board secretary had followed my instruction. But on my part, I would like to check with all this communication. What I am aware of is that every board meeting we send a communication to the office of Senator Jesus Escudero because on that time we do not know who is the representative. That's why we said directly to the office.
Mr.
of
Chairman.
Senator.
Please include also the minutes of your board meetings from the start that there was a communication from the office of the senator.
Okay.
So that it will be clear who were attending those board meetings.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if I may just wrap up my earlier statement.
Okay. Proceed.
The admission of the president is a clear manifestation of his incompetence in managing the affairs of the university. We just passed this law creating this university from a state college. And this was in 2019, the previous administration. And because of his incompetence, Mr. Chair, I'd like to state for the record that following the advice of the chairman of the Committee on Public Accounts, we will scrutinize every single contract that he has signed, every single appointment that he has made and signed must be scrutinized. I'm not saying this because I have something against this gentleman, but my point being is that if, I'm sure that my colleagues would agree with me, that if a president of a university within a province or within a district, ay siguro dapat yung competent. Siguro yung may kakayahan na hindi yung nambobola lang. So it's just a manner of expressing my disgust, Mr. Chair. And I hope you understand that more to this issue, there are other issues that we should also look at, including sexual abuses and corruption in the management and affairs of the State University. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time.